day. And Phil, I want to ask the question, will the presence of Deion Sanders ultimately hurt the draft stock of Shedeur Sanders? We'll get to the PS2 quotes here in a few minutes about the Broncos making a Super Bowl push this year. But I'm curious because stuff's happening even today at Pro Days. Deion Sanders is grabbing a microphone and defending his son, and it's being talked about on these national morning shows and all this stuff. What do you make of the idea that Deion Sanders could potentially hurt his son by just sort of being Deion Sanders?
Yeah, I mean, how is that going to be the case? Like, because Coach Prime goes out there and talks about his son. Like, Coach Prime is his son, Shedeur Sanders' agent. That's what an agent is supposed to do. He's supposed to be out there talking to teams. He's supposed to be out there defending his client, his player. And so why would that not be the case for Coach Prime? That's his son. People are bad-mouthing his son. As a father, you're going to still protect your son.
Sure.
And also, you want everybody to know that, like, don't buy into all that bull crap. We play the games on the football field, and Shedeur Sanders has proven that he deserves to be drafted in the first round. Because you have people saying that Shedeur Sanders may drop into the second.
Right.
And when they're evaluating him, he's a third-round quarterback. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, he showed it for 2 years. The man is tough as nails, and we're talking about Shedeur Sanders now. The man is tough as nails. He's accurate. Does he have the strongest arm? No. But it's okay. We don't know what it's going to look like in the NFL. Bo Nix supposedly didn't have a strong arm. And look at what he did this year.
Right.
So sometimes it's just about going about this evaluation like, how did that kid look in college? Can he do it in the NFL? Is it going to take time? And do we have the right people around him for him to elevate? That's what you're looking for. So I'm okay with Coach Prime going on national TV and defending his son because there's a lot of people out there trying to pull him down right now.
Well, there's no doubt about that last part. There's no doubt. And, you have these whispers coming out of the combine from a few weeks ago and, quarterback coaches or, these people willing to go on the record anonymously. So kind of on the record, kind of not willing to give the quote to a media member but not attach their name to it. It was this morning. I think it was this morning. Maybe might have been yesterday morning. The conversation was happening on the set of Get Up with Louis Riddick. And this was Louis Riddick talking about the dynamic with Deion and his son Shador.
There are personal biases, though, that people have, that the scouts have, general managers have,
against
coaches have,
father?
Just against his family overall because of how larger than life Deion is. Look, there just is. There's some people have an ability to separate the personal feelings from the professional job at hand, which is to evaluate a player and determine whether or not he fits your organization. Some people don't. Some people, the personal kind of creeps into it because they just don't like his father. They don't like the bravado. They don't like the brashness. They don't like the way he talks, the way he dresses, the way he carries himself. Some people let that affect them to the point where it affects their ability to do the job, which is, can this guy help us win football games? That's what we're talking about with Shedeur Sanders.
Which is what you were saying is like, get back to the tape. Get back to the actual tape.
This is what it's all about, is playing football. It's not dressing up in a suit, talking about yes, sir, no, sir, right away, sir. No, that's an office job. By the way, I'm not. If you have an office job,
yeah,
do
of course.
Your thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you're on the football field.
Right.
You're producing on the football field. And your actions are your athletic ability in making plays. Shedeur Sanders has proven to make plays year after year, no matter where he's at, whether it's a lower division college or the Power 4 level, he has done it all. Give that young man his chance because he earned the right to have the chance to be drafted in the first round, maybe the first pick of the NFL draft if a team thinks he's the best quarterback in the draft.
Yep. And we're talking about a guy in Shador that just threw 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions for a team that went, what was it, 9-3?
Yeah.
At the Power 4 level. The year before, it's 27 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. I don't think there's a question of, like, is Shedeur Sanders like some creation of his father or anything like that. The kid can play. The kid can play. Is he a first-round talent? I think he is. The arm strength stuff drives me nuts It drives me nuts.
Well, why? Like, what do you mean by that?
Because I like when you actually watch NFL football, how rare is the 10 out of 10 full-blown display down the field? Like, we don't see that.
No, you're not going to see that a lot.
You might see it once every other week. The rest is like, how accurate are you with the football? Are you on time with the football? Can you anticipate with the ball?
What did we say? What did Sean say? Time, rhythm, processing.
Yes.
If you want to knock Shador on one thing, it's holding on to the football too long.
That's definitely a criticism.
Not the arm strength.
Right.
Right? Okay, holding on to the football too long, I understand. He's going to have to get the ball out of his hands, especially if you're a top 5 draft pick. The reason you're a top 5 draft pick is because that team is not good. And if you're a quarterback, usually the offensive line is not good to start with. So you're going to have to get the ball out of your hands faster than you think. That's where Bo Nix strived, right? That's where Bo Nix was able to excel, because he was able to get the ball out of his hands fast. And people said he didn't have the arm strength, and he was able to prove that I do have the arm strength, but also I'm very accurate with my balls.
Well, we're going to find out here next month.
Do you think that Coach Prime can hurt his son's draft stock value?
Yes and no, because it would just take one team to get turned off by Deion for it to impact Shador.
So now it's because of Deion, not because of the player. It's because of somebody not liking the way, like Reddick just said, the way Coach Prime is, the way he acts.
Yeah, he's a larger than life persona, and I think that we talk about sometimes the egos of these coaches and executives.
Oh, there's some big time egos upstairs, Zach.
Yes,
there really is.
Yes. And so if Deion's personality, the larger than life nature of who he is, mixed with the icon that he was on the field, multiple different types of fields, and still carrying that icon status with him today, maybe that does to one team for one general manager. And maybe it's did the general manager in New York come off like a normal person, or did he kind of come off like a weirdo to you?
You know how I feel. You know how I feel about the general manager in New York with the Giants. That was a big mistake he made, trying to make a fool out of Saquon Barkley, and it backfired on his ass.
Totally. But that guy seems like he has a massive ego.
Yeah.
Massive. So you heard even the way he was talking about Saquon. He's like, it's not about handing the ball off to my $8 million, running back. It's about blah, 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 blah. And he just
very arrogant.
Very, but he is the type of personality. And maybe it'll be the opposite. New York will draft him because that's where he's going on a lot of these mocks. But it's like a general manager like that. I'm not maybe talking about Joe Shane specifically.
No, but he's not the only one, guys.
Definitely not.
He is not the only one that will make a bad decision and has a very big ego and thinks that they're better than the team themselves. It happens all the time.
Yes. And so if there's a personality type like that in a general manager role, and the quarterback of your future is the son of Deion, and Deion's going to be like his pseudo agent, it would just take one general manager to be like, I don't like this. I don't like this dynamic. And therefore, if that's true for one, that could potentially hurt his draft stock. So I actually think, while it probably shouldn't, I actually think it at least lives within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, because you're dealing with human beings.
Yep.
And what do I always say? You like who you like and what you like. And if somebody doesn't like Coach Prime or doesn't like the way Shedeur Sanders throws the ball, they won't draft him just because of that. It might be a mistake to him. Actually, it will be a mistake, because if Shedeur Sanders ends up panning out, which I believe he will, as long as he's put in a good situation like anybody else. Bo Nix was put in a great situation, guys. He really was. The offensive line was put together.
Yep.
You were able to have a veteran receiver. Now, he didn't have the running back, and he didn't have a tight end, which is just where you put hats off to Bo. Bo was able to do a lot without a run game and a tight end.
Crazy.
But overall, a top 5 defense to go with some of the offensive line, the playmaking ability, and Marvin Mims as a receiver and Cortland Sutton, that helps out. So what I'm saying is Shedeur Sanders has a good opportunity to be something in this league. Somebody's going to have to give him a chance. But if somebody doesn't because of his dad, shame on them, and they should not have a job.
Well, I'll read this RamosLaw.com text. Many teams won't want to deal with the baggage of a Deion. He's no ordinary agent. Deion comes with heavy influence that cannot be ignored. He would do his son a favor to keep his comments behind the scenes. End quote. Well, for Deion's never going to be behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why you made that comment to say that. Coach Prime knows one way and one way only.
Right.
And he is not shying away from anybody. And it's worked for him his whole entire career. It's worked for his son his whole entire career. You don't just change up just because you're getting somewhere. You don't put on that face and say, yes, sir, no, sir, when that's not who you are, but you're still a ball player. Go out there and play football. This is what it's all about. I'm not here to have somebody just be in the building because they're nice. They have to be a dog on that football field, and they have to be able to win games. That's all I care about.
Well, it was Deion with a microphone in front of him today at a pro day, and this was the exchange that he had. I believe this is earlier today. Deion Sanders talking about some of the criticisms that are coming at Shador.
And to still continuously shine. We like to call that stuff out, though. I know who it is. You're going to make me call him out. Yeah, you know what team. Yeah. All right.
We don't.
You got to understand it. I know, but don't make me pull behind the curtain to step in that thing.
We keep it on the high road.
I'm kind of curious, to be honest.
I'm going to try my best to keep it on the high road, but I don't know the address.
We will keep it on the high road. And
so Deion says he knows who's saying that stuff. Like, it was that story that a quarterback coach, again, saying the stuff that he said, that Shador was a big turnoff and all this stuff.
I speculated, and I think that you did too, but for sure I said it's somebody like the Jets. It's a New York team. Maybe it's the Jets, because it was specifically said that the team that commented on Shador was a team in the top
7.
Top 7.
I think it was it was a top 7 team that needed a quarterback, that they said.
And the Jets needed a quarterback. Well, not now. The Jets have Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
But I speculated that it was someone like the Jets.
Yeah, which isn't crazy. It's not crazy. Last question before we move on here. If Shador's last name was Smith, and he wasn't Shedeur Sanders, and he was just the exact person, the exact player, but without the connection to Deion Sanders, and he was just Shedeur Smith, would he be closer to the number 1 overall pick, or would he be closer to a 2nd or 3rd round pick, do you think?
Oh, that's a tough one. I still believe he would still be closer to the number 1 overall pick because of what he has done this year, because he brought a team in the Power 4 conference in the Big 12 that when he got here was 1 in, was it 10?
Yeah.
And won 5 games his first year, won 9 games his second year, put up great numbers, makes plays, was on the team with a Heisman winner, which helps you out. But also you got the ball all around to different receivers that helps you out as well. He would have still been a top quarterback coming out this draft. 1, because there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are good that are coming out of this draft this year. 2, he's the one making big time plays. That's what I believe. But that's a great question.
Man, I went back and forth on this, actually. I went back and forth on this. And I want to throw it out to our listeners, and I'm curious what our fellas behind the glass say.
I won't bite you if you say
if Shedeur Sanders' last name was Smith, and he's the exact same personality type, the exact same player, with the exact same numbers, the exact same career, but he was Shedeur Smith, would he be closer to the number 1 pick in the draft? Because he doesn't have some of this baggage and some of this stuff that is connected to Deion. All right? And I say baggage in air quotes. That's just depending on who you ask. Or would he be closer to a 2nd round pick?
That's a great question, man.
Now,
I think his abilities, man. That's why I'm going with his abilities. He's still really good.
Oh, no. There's no question about it. He's a baller. But, and I don't know if this is cheating the conversation, I don't know if his last name wasn't Sanders, he would ever be in the position that he was at CU to be able to display his talents in the way that he did, because Deion's his father, that has now put him in a position to be a 1st round pick. And if he was just Shedeur Smith, would he have had to take one of the offers that he had coming out of high school, because he had plenty of offers, battle for a position at Arkansas or Ole Miss. I believe those schools offered him. Man.
But think of it as he was at Colorado right now, and he put up the numbers for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Did he do enough to be a top pick in the NFL draft?
Yeah. If it's second round or first overall pick and he's already probably going like, sixth overall or third overall, I think I would say he'd be closer to the number 1 pick in the draft. I think.
I think.
I've gone back and forth on this. I know.
Be confident with it.
No.
What do you believe, Zach Bye?
I would say he'd be closer to the number 1 overall pick than a second round
because
pick.
you take the name, because that's what you're saying. You're saying take the name out of it. His play on the football field. Is it a first-round draft pick caliber performance that you see every single week? That's what you're looking for. Is he creating those plays? Is he making big-time moments? Is he helping his team or hurting his team?
Right.
That's what you have to view, not the name, because you take the name out of it.
Yeah. And someone said, didn't he have an offer from Alabama? Yes, he did.
Yeah, he had a lot of big-time offers.
He did. And would he be competing with someone like Jalen Milroe for the starting quarterback? And fellas, what do you guys think?
I'm on the opposite side of you. I think it's closer to a second-round pick.
Okay.
I think he translates much closer to like a Jackson Dart or like some of the other guys in the past.
By the way, Jackson Dart, people are saying he's going to go in the first round, maybe number 9 to the Saints.
No, he's been jumping. I mean, we'll see. But like a Matt Corral when he went, like to me, he seems more like that kind, just a little undersized, like decent arm. Not
I was going to say
he's not
physically. He's not physically imposing the way that you would think a number 1 pick in the draft would be. He does the stuff that you're born with, but just in a different way than your physicality. Like, he is a neck-up quarterback.
Yeah.
He really is. Drew, what do you think?
Do you think his lack of mobility is actually kind of hurting his stock more than maybe his last name? Because you look at like Cam Ward, he's more of a mobile-type quarterback.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart, also a more mobile-type quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is a prototypical pocket passer.
Yeah.
And in today's NFL, that seems to be more kind of the aberration. Like, you don't really see those as much anymore.
Yeah, you have to be able to move a little bit.
You do.
And I think he can move a little bit.
I
but
do too.
He can move a little bit.
He's taken off a couple times.
But if he was a starting quarterback in the NFL this coming year and you had all the NFL starting quarterbacks go through a combine, he'd be one of the worst athletes if it's just athletes at the position.
Well, we don't know that, though. He didn't run a 40.
Right, but
Bo Nix didn't run a 40, and none of us knew that Bo Nix was going to be as athletic as he was.
Yeah, but Bo Nix was the number 1 rated dual threat quarterback out of high school.
But I'll tell you this, right? Because when you're dealing with the combine, you're getting ready for a couple drills for 2 or 3 months. So you can look better than what you are running.
Sure.
Because that's all you're doing for 3 months. You're not playing football.
But you wouldn't call Shedeur Sanders like an upper echelon NFL athlete.
No. I'm not saying that he's the most athletic guy out there, but I'm saying that he's more athletic than people give him credit for.
Okay. Drew, do you want to finish up that thought? Or?
Well, I kind of go back and forth on this as well because I try to maybe compare it not so much to this year's class because this year's quarterback class is so bad.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 dudes.
Luckily for him.
And it's great for him, which is probably why it was a good thing he came back after last year.
Yeah.
I try to compare like, all right, where would he be in last year's class? He wouldn't be above Caleb. He wouldn't be above Jaden Daniels.
No.
He wouldn't be above – I don't even know if he'd be above Bo Nix.
Well, we did the exercise. It was the last 5 drafts.
Yeah.
And using only pre-draft grades, he only ranked ahead of Kenny Pickett in the last 5 drafts according to pre-draft grades.
I know. I do think, though, that if his last name were Smith, that he would be a surefire, no doubt, top 5 pick at the very least. It's just I do think his last name is hurting him in this instance. Just because there's so many people that hate the Sanders family. For whatever reason, they just hate the Sanders family. He's attached to that name. For whatever reason, it is what it is, but I think it's killing him.
Okay, Shedeur Smith. Who's better than Shedeur Smith in this draft as a quarterback?
I don't think anyone.
I don't either.
I watch Cam Ward quite a bit. Cam Ward is a chaos agent.
Yeah.
He thrives when stuff breaks down and he's able, almost like Russell Wilson did forever when he was younger and had the mobility like to extend plays and all this stuff. But like when you're in the NFL and you hear guys talk about it, like 70% of the time you want to be on schedule. I'm more worried about the 70% of the time that plays are run on schedule, not the 30% of times when they're off schedule. And when plays are on schedule, that's where Shedeur Sanders thrives. He thrives in the 70%.
All right, so then you just answer your question. You take away Sanders' name, you put Shedeur Smith on it. Who is better than Shedeur Smith in this
In this draft, no one.
As for a quarterback.
Phil, we've been on the air for a year and a half, and it's been since September of me saying this kid's the best quarterback in college football. Yeah. I don't think there's anyone better than Shador.
Now, he might not go number one, maybe because Abdul Carter, pass rusher.
Sure.
Maybe not, but
Cam
he'll be
Ward.
top 5 like Drew said. I believe in that.
Yeah. And Dante, you're shaking your head vehemently, like to.
You look like a bobblehead over there. What's up?
No, I just think he profiles closer to like a Sam Howell coming out of UNC, where it's like, yeah, he does a lot of the things good, but he has no like special attributes. And I think a lot of people say this too, is like college football and the NFL are just different sports.
Totally.
It's just, and I don't think he has any like transcendent qualities.
You could say that for every college football player.
No, I think Cam Ward does have more transcendent quality. I think like Josh Allen coming out had like transcendent quality. Like
Anthony Richardson, like those physical specimens. But by the way, Cam Ward's a better athlete than Shador, but Cam Ward's not in the conversation of like the Anthony Richardsons, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons. He's not that. So, all right.
Great question though, Zach.
A lot of discourse on the RamosLaw.com text line for that question. So, all right. Interesting. It's all going to shake out. It's
going to be what it's going to be. Shedeur Sanders, whether he's drafted first overall or in the second round, he's going to have an opportunity to prove everybody wrong or some people right that he should have been picked number 1. And if he was picked number 1, this is why you guys are right.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. The pre-draft process and the picking apart of these kids is not unique to Shedeur Sanders. He is the flavor of the month because he's a top pick. But this time last year it was, well, you really want a quarterback who paints his nails?
Yeah.
You really want a quarterback who wore lip gloss and has a pink iPhone and cried on his mama's bosom after a loss? Like, is that who you want? It was Michael Penix Jr. Like, do you really want a quarterback who's had 2 ACLs?
Yeah.
Like, Bo Nix doesn't have the arm strength. Like, he's got a second-round grade on him. Like, so we do this thing almost every single year, but because it's Sanders as the last name, it has.
My man said lip gloss.
He did. That man was wearing lip gloss.
He said paint the nails and put lip gloss on.
He did. That was just that was the talking points a year ago, and how would that play in the NFL locker room and all this stuff. So, he was Hollywood. He's got his own penthouse or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So it happens every year. It is what it is, and by the way, when we talk about the physicality and the arm strength and all this stuff that he doesn't have as well as some of the other quarterbacks that are drafted in the first round before him, like, what were they saying about Brady's physicality and his arm coming out?
He's the greatest player to play the game.
Right?
The GOAT.
Like, you watch Joe Montana play or even Peyton Manning.
But you need people like that, Zach. You need people like that because those type of people, they're going to push you. You need people like us doubting somebody because it's going to push them, because it pushed me. It pushed me because if I would have listened to everybody else, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to play in the league.
Sure.
I'm 185 pounds, 5'7", 5'8" on a good day. All right. But I got the opportunity because of my heart and desire and the will to outwork people and sit here and say, you're wrong and I'm right.
Yep.
So time will tell.
Time will tell. They're going to kick the ball off.
That's all that matters.
And Shador's going to play in the NFL next year.
Hey.
And he's going to succeed or he'll fail. And we'll see. That's the best part about this conversation, that we are going to see. Dante, real quick before we go?
Yeah, real quick. The 2 examples you gave of Brady and Montana, Brady was a late draft pick. Joe Montana drafted in the 3rd round.
3rd round, right.
So you're talking about these lesser than physical quality quarterbacks. They don't go in the 1st round.
A lot of times they don't. You know, there's plenty of examples for both, right? There's plenty of John Elway, Peyton Manning both went number 1 overall. Joe Montana's a 3rd rounder. Brady's, so
6th round.
Yep.